Good morning everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the channel where it is time for Matchweek 31 predictions of the 2019-2020 Premier League season. Now obviously we have one game left remaining in Matchweek 30 and that is Manchester City against Burnley. So unfortunately I won't be able to obviously tell you how I did, etc. Until obviously the next video, which will obviously be Matchweek 32. So, and obviously I will read out the top scorers as well for Matchweek 30. So, yeah, obviously having to do this because obviously there are games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. So, bit of an overlap, unfortunately, but I will announce the top scorers in Matchweek 30 later on this week. So yeah, apologies for that. So let's just kick things off with Matchweek 31, and we have Leicester City against Brighton, Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham, Manchester United against Sheffield United, Newcastle United against Aston Villa, Norwich City against Everton, Wolves against Bournemouth, Liverpool against Crystal Palace, Burnley against Watford, Southampton against Arsenal, and Chelsea against Manchester City. So big games coming up. So the first game to preview and predict is Leicester City against Brighton. The last 5 meetings between the sides have resulted in 4 wins to Leicester City and 1 draw. The last result was a 2-1 win to Leicester. Now, Leicester City will go away from the fact that they almost won the game at Watford. I think a draw was a fair result in that game. I know both sides had their chances. Obviously, Doucouré had a chance for Watford. We'll have to say that Chilwell's goal was absolutely magnificent. Apart from that, he wasn't very good in that game. Damari Gray definitely changed the game and he came on as well. So it was very good good draw to get for Leicester City, and especially with obviously teams in and around them dropping points as well. So they'll be pleased they'll be going back in front of at the King Power because they've got a better record at the King Power than they do away from home. Brighton, what can we say? 2-1 win over Arsenal. Having to come back from a goal down as well. And to be honest, they played really well against Arsenal. Lewis Dunk obviously getting the equaliser. And then Neil Maupay, of all people, getting the winner against Arsenal. Yes, I will come to Arsenal very later on in this video. But all you have to say is another fantastic win for Brighton. And it's another win to get them on the road to safety for sure. They're now on 32 points, or Brighton, and I have to say for Brighton to be on that amount of number, it's kind of getting them away from the relegation zone. So it's a very good victory for Brighton. So Brighton have never beaten Leicester in the Premier League. I expect that run to continue. Unfortunately, I think Leicester City will be too strong for Brighton. Jamie Vardy, of course, looking for his 100th Premier League goal. Didn't get it against Watford. I think he might get it against Brighton. Going to go for a 2-0 win to Leicester City. Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham now, and the last 5 between the sides have resulted in 3 wins to Spurs, 1 draw and 1 win to West Ham. And in fact, the last meeting was that 1-0 win to West Ham. Tottenham Hotspur, what can we say? Against Manchester United, weren't in the game until Bergwijn scored the goal, but they did look really threatening with Bergwijn, Lamela, Son on the counter attack. They played really well counter attacking against Manchester United, and yeah, obviously we've seen the good and the bad of Eric Dyer, haven't we? Conceded a penalty for Paul Pogba, and to be honest, he could have conceded another penalty, but obviously he didn't. But Spurs, it's really difficult to say. I think Spurs are in a bit of a erratic form, as I said, but yeah, they'll want to definitely win this one, I think. West Ham, oh dear, what can we say about West Ham? Very poor performance against Wolves. Yeah, they don't look great. They don't look great at all. I don't know if they're missing their fans, but you have to say that West Ham, it was a poor performance against Wolves, and more to the fact that their running is really tricky coming in. But tell you something, West Ham just don't look like they have any ideas. They missed Haller at the weekend. Obviously, they played Jared Bowen up front as well. Antonio up front as well. Just didn't work for West Ham. Just did not work for West Ham. But West Ham can be buoyed for the fact that they won the last meeting at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But I just have a feeling that Tottenham will win this one. Because of West Ham's form, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Tottenham. I do think it'll be a very close game. There usually are London derbies. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Spurs in this game. So we'll see what happens. Manchester United against Sheffield United. The last 5 between the sides, there was in 4 wins to Manchester United and 1 draw. The last result was a 2-0 win to Manchester United, but this was obviously in 2007, so many years ago. Manchester United, what can I say? Played really well at Tottenham. Probably were the better team in that game. David De Gea has to do better for the goal, but it's not only De Gea's fault. What was Harry Maguire doing for that goal? What was he doing? But he allowed Bergwijn to just sort of go inside him as well. It was a very poor display from Harry Maguire. But obviously De Gea redeemed himself with a wonder save from Son as well, and obviously Lloris made a wonder save from Martial as well. So it was a tale of the two goalkeepers, I thought, in that game, because obviously Lloris kept Spurs in it, and yeah, you have to say De Gea redeemed himself for his mistake. Yes, Roy Keane came out after the game and almost crucified, I think is the right word to say, Harry Maguire and David De Gea. So Manchester United coming back at Old Trafford. Unless this is a game that is at a neutral venue. This was one of the ones that was potentially at a neutral venue. I haven't heard anything ever since. So, as far as I'm aware, this is at Old Trafford. This one. So yeah, they'll want to get wins, especially because obviously Chelsea won yesterday against Aston Villa, and they've put themselves a bit of a gap again between themselves, but. I've seen comments from the other night saying that top 4 is gone. No, it's not. It is not gone for Manchester United fans. It's not gone at all. You've got a very good, reasonable run in, I think, for the last games of the season. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Sheffield United. Well, I think I jinxed them. I said the only teams that they lost to away from home were Manchester City and Liverpool. And then they go and lose 3-0 against Newcastle, which was a very surprising defeat, it has to be said. But I have to say, from looking at the game yesterday, Sheffield United were definitely in the game up until the red card, and then obviously defensive mistake from Enda Stevens allowed Alan Saint-Maximin in, and unfortunately that one was a Dean Henderson mistake. So It swings and roundabouts, and obviously Matt Ritchie scored, and then bloomin' Joe Linton, after 1,240 minutes without a goal, he gets a goal against Sheffield United. So, bad day at the office for Sheffield United. They will be without Dean Henderson for this game as well, ineligible because obviously of his loan deal at Manchester United. Although, if you do believe posts from Twitter. There was a post yesterday saying that apparently Manchester United and Chelsea are in the transfer battle for Dean Henderson. When is Manchester United goalkeeper? Good one. So for this game, I can only really see a Manchester United win. I know I usually say don't back against Sheffield United away from home, but the fact that there's no good Dean Henderson, John Egan will be suspended because obviously of his red card. I've just got a feeling Manchester United will be a little bit too strong for Sheffield United. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Manchester United, but I think Man United will win this one quite comfortably. This is a 6 o'clock kickoff as well. Actually, I forgot to say, Leicester City Brighton 6 o'clock kickoff. Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham 8:15 kick-off. Both of them live on Sky Sports as well. Manchester United, Sheffield United is live on Sky Sports as well. So we will go to the next game. It is Newcastle United against Aston Villa. The last 5 between the sides, quite reasonable. 1 win for Newcastle, 3 draws and 1 win to Aston Villa. The last result was a 1-1 draw. Newcastle United, a very, very impressive 3-0 win against Sheffield United. Yes, obviously, like I've said, helped by the fact that John Egan got sent off. But I think Joe Linton will be very, very relieved that he got a goal, to be honest, because he fluffed his lines a couple of times yesterday. But it's a very good win. It's a very, very good win. Although Phil Neville came out and said that Newcastle United are playing better attacking football under Steve Bruce than Rafa Benitez. Well, the facts don't say that. The facts do not say that. I think they're 19th in goals scored. I think they're 19th in attacking wise as well, and chances created as well. So yeah, I would overthink what you would say, Phil, because that's not right. But having said that, Newcastle United, Steve Bruce has done a fantastic job. Yes, there's obviously rumours about takeovers, etc. But that's not obviously distracting them on the pitch. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what will actually happen to this one. Aston Villa, well, I'm going to talk about the Aston Villa Sheffield United game. Let's be honest, they were lucky not to lose that game because of an absolute goal line, absolute error from goal line technology. I think that's the first time in like 9,000 games or something that happened. But yeah, good draw against Sheffield United. And yesterday, they were really in the game against Chelsea. Really, really into the game against Chelsea. And then all of a sudden, same old problems for Villa. You cannot stop conceding goals, which is very, very annoying as well. So very, very poor from Aston Villa, especially after going 1-0 up at half time as well from a header from it wasn't a header actually, it was a good goal from Courtney Hose as well. So yeah, so the fact is that these two teams are very level in obviously head-to-head records in the last 5. I'm going to go for a draw, and unfortunately I just don't see the goals in this game. I think both teams will be determined to obviously cancel each other out. Aston Villa will be pretty pleased with a clean sheet, I could tell you that for a fact. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw between Newcastle United and Aston Villa. I do think this could be a bit of a damp squib, like one game I will come on to very, very shortly. So Newcastle United 0, Aston Villa 0. Norwich City against Everton. The last 5 between the sides I was odd in. 1 win to Norwich, 2 draws and 2 wins to Everton. The last result was a 1-1 draw. Norwich City. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I said that was a must win against Southampton. Fluffed their lines. I mean, they were in the game. They were in the game against Southampton. Obviously took that to 0-0 at half time. And then what you don't do is concede right away. It was like the 49th minute when Danny Ings scored the opener. Yeah, very, very poor defensively Norwich, and yeah, 3-0 defeat at the end. It was a very, very poor performance from Norwich, and they're running out of games. They're running out of games now, and obviously with Watford's point against Leicester, they're now 8 points adrift from safety. So it's looking really, really bleak. Although to be fair, they are still 7 points adrift, as I've said. So it's a very, very very tricky running for Norwich as well, and I don't expect them to get many points away from home, so they have to capitalise on their home form, and unfortunately, I just don't see where the points are coming from. Everton, has to be said, Everton defended really, really well against Liverpool yesterday. Nearly won it as well. Obviously, a very good back heel from Calvert-Lewin, saved by Alisson. Tom Davis has a chance to score, hits the post, and you're just thinking, it's going to be one of those days again for Everton. But to be fair, they defended really, really well. Seamus Coleman was probably man of the match yesterday. Really, really tracked Mane's runs, and he was very, very good at that as well. So Everton going away from home, I think they'll take confidence in the fact that they drew with Liverpool yesterday. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win to Everton here, and I just think the pressure will be piled on Daniel Farke as well, and I think Norwich City's time in the Premier League is coming to an end, sadly, but I just think Everton will be far too strong for Norwich. 2-0 win to the Blues. Wolves against Bournemouth. The last 5 between the there's only been 3 meetings in the Premier League, and there's been 2 wins to Wolves and 1 draw. The last result was a 2-0 win to Wolves. Wolves has to be said that they played very, very well. Weren't really going anywhere until Adama Traore came on, and Adama Traore really changed the game. Obviously setting up Jimenez for the first goal, and an absolute rocket of a strike from Pedro Neto. I don't think you're going to see a sweeter volley like that one. It was hit sweet as a nut. Absolutely fantastic volley into the top corner. That's another good win for Wolves, and you know what? They are definitely in the top 4 chase now, you'd have to say, because they're breathing down on Manchester United's necks. And the one thing they just need to do is just get rid of that sort of inconsistency, and they could potentially be in the Champions League. Wolves are a credit to themselves. Fantastic team by Nuno Espirito Santo. Very, very good indeed. Bournemouth, I have to say, watch them against Crystal Palace, and they look null and void of ideas, that has to be said. Really, really poor against Palace. I think they missed Ryan Fraser badly, and the fact that he's going to be leaving next week as well, which is very, very disappointing, it has to be said. But they didn't have an out ball the other day. Yes, Josh King, I have to say, Josh King for me is not a winger. I know they were trying to get Callum Wilson into the game, etc. Obviously, Dominic Solanke came in as well. Just didn't work. Just did not work. At least they kept the score down to obviously 2-0 to Palace, but really, really difficult to say where Bournemouth's next point is coming from. To be honest, it's going to be a very, very tricky game for them. Wolves will be buoyed on by the fact that they won by 2 goals to 0 at West Ham. I think they will go another one here. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Wolves. I think Bournemouth just really, really poor and just looking like they could be going down to the Championship because their running is really, really difficult. I think their next 4 are something like Leicester City, Tottenham, Manchester United and Newcastle, I think. So some very, very tricky games coming up, and then obviously they have Southampton, their last home game of the season, and away to Everton. It's not looking good for Eddie Howe, unfortunately. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Wolves in this game. Liverpool against Crystal Palace. The last 5 between the sides. Liverpool have won all 5 meetings. The last result was that famous 4-3 absolute roller coaster of a match at Anfield last season. Has to be said, Liverpool were very, very rusty against Everton. Naby Keita and Takumi Minamino looked really, really good when they came on yesterday. But unfortunately, they just didn't get that all important win to be 1 win away from the title. But yeah, look, all I'll say is Liverpool didn't need to win that game yesterday. The pressure's piled back on Manchester City this evening against Burnley. We didn't need to win that game yesterday, so disappointing. But at least we didn't lose. And we're still unbeaten in 19 league games against Everton since 2010. So that's always a good thing. Crystal Palace, I have to say, absolutely fantastic performance against Bournemouth. Luka Milivojevic free kick was an absolute stunner as well. Jordan Ayew, I have to say, Jordan Ayew, for a player that they bought for 2.5 million from Swansea, he's had a fantastic season. Fantastic first season at Crystal Palace, and do you know what? Jordan Ayew is going to be a very, very good player. It's a very tricky game, this one, because obviously, Crystal Palace were the last team to beat Liverpool on the 23rd of April 2017. So very, very difficult to say. Very, very difficult game to predict this one. But I'm going to go for a Liverpool win because obviously it's at Anfield. I just have a feeling that it's going to be a good game for Liverpool. Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson are meant to be returning yeah, Liverpool really missed Robertson yesterday. You could see on that left-hand side. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Liverpool in this game. So we'll see what happens. Burnley against Watford. The last 5 between the sides have us all in 3 wins to Burnley, 1 draw, and 1 win to Watford. The last result was a 3-1 win to Watford. Obviously, Burnley haven't played yet, but you would expect them to be on the back of a defeat against Manchester City. But then again, stranger things have happened. Obviously, Man City won 4-1 earlier in the season against Burnley. So it's going to be a very, very tricky game for Burnley to go away to the Etihad and expect to get any points from there. So they'll be pleased they'll be coming back at Turf Moor, and it'll be interesting to see what will happen. Watford, good point. Very good point against Leicester. Obviously, not much happened in that game until the final 5 minutes. Obviously, Ben Chilwell scored, and then Craig Dawson, I don't think he's going to score a better first goal for Watford. A bicycle kick past Schmeichel. Schmeichel did his best to keep it out, but it was a very, very good performance from Watford, and a good draw as well, because obviously they move now above West Ham into 16th. West Ham moving down to 17th. So going to be very, very interesting to see. But the fact is that Turf Moor, Burnley are very, very tricky to beat at a home any time really. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Burnley in this game. So be very, very interesting. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Burnley. Oh yes, here we go. Southampton against Arsenal. The last 5 between the sides have resulted in 1 win to Southampton, 2 draws and 2 wins to Arsenal. The last result was a 3-2 win to Southampton, very, very last season, and that was Ralph Hasenhüttl's first game in charge, if people remember that. So there we go. Southampton were very, very impressive against Norwich. Obviously, Danny Ings getting a goal. He looks really, really good this season. Continuing his goal scoring form for sure. Stuart Armstrong, of course, another very good player as well, and obviously Nathan Redmond getting on the score sheet as well. Very, very good win. 3-0 away to Norwich. I know they had a very good record against Norwich, but I tell you something, 3-0 away from home is very, very good. They're coming back in front of St Mary's, and do you know what? It's going to be a very interesting game, because they're coming up against an Arsenal side who, since the restart, have been absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Yes, you can say they played very well against Brighton to begin with. Obviously, Bernd Leno, best wishes to him. It looks a really, really bad injury, unfortunately. It looks like a knee injury, maybe ankle injury. Yeah. But what I don't get is that Arsenal fans were calling out for a red card. Yes, it was a sneaky thing to do from Mopey, but for me, it's not a red card. You've seen obviously Son getting red carded for obviously Andre Gomez's injury. That was probably more serious than the Mopey one. But to be honest, best wishes to Bernd Leno, but Arsenal's form has just been diabolical, and they're going away from home again. 3 away games in a row. They'll just be pleased that their next game is at the Emirates. So that is one thing you could say for sure. But yeah, looking at this, Southampton won the last game 3-2 against Arsenal. Arsenal's form away from home is just absolutely awful. Will Mesut Ozil play? That's the main thing. I was really baffled by Arteta's substitutions at the weekend. Why on earth did you not bring Martinelli on? A player who I said was one to watch before obviously the Premier League returned. He hasn't played. So yeah, that's one thing you could say for sure. Lacazette, his form is really, really worrying as well. So yeah, very, very worrying. So for the game, I actually think Southampton are going to win this game. I think Arsenal are going to be on the back of another defeat. 3 defeats on the bounce for Mikel Arteta. The honeymoon period is definitely over. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1 in this game. And the final game to preview and predict is Chelsea against Manchester City. The last 5 between the sides have resulted in 4 wins to Man City and 1 win to Chelsea. And that win was 2-0 last season at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Manchester City. So Chelsea, very good to get the win yesterday against Aston Villa. Obviously, Pulisic got the goal and Giroud got the goal. Giroud's got a really good goal scoring record against Aston Villa. I think he scored 8 or 9 games against them. He's got a really good goal scoring record against Aston Villa. It was a good win for Chelsea because obviously with Manchester United dropping points, they've given themselves a little bit of a cushion there now. So it's looking good for Chelsea. But this is a really tricky game because Manchester City came out of the blocks against Arsenal, and I would say they've probably been the best team to watch since the restart. I would say. So it's going to be a very hard game as well for me to predict. But I'm going to say Man City will go away from home, get the win at Chelsea. And yeah, I think Man City will beat Chelsea here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester City. So that is it. That is my Match Week 31 predictions done and dusted. I will go through them very quickly for you. Leicester City 2, Brighton 0. Tottenham 2, West Ham 1. Manchester United 2, Sheffield United 0. Newcastle United 0, Aston Villa 0. Norwich 0, Everton 2. Wolves 3, Bournemouth 0. Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 1. Burnley 2, Watford 0. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1. And Chelsea 1, Manchester City 2. So that is it. That is my Match Week 31 predictions done and dusted. Obviously, I will leave a template of these fixtures. All you have to do is copy and paste. And obviously, in the next video, I will shout out the highest scoring one as well. And I will tell you how I did for Match Week 30 and Match Week 31. So a bit of a longer video next time. But yeah, we'll do that very quickly. But yeah, leave your predictions in the comment section down below. It's really nice to see a couple of you playing along as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, obviously Premier League football is back. It came back with a bang. We've seen some absolutely cracking goals, as we've obviously seen as well. So really good to see. So, but all I'll say is thank you very much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Smash the like on this video, and yeah, leave your predictions in the comment section down below. And obviously enjoy your midweek Premier League fixture list, because obviously there's games on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and again all these games live on TV. But obviously there are a couple of games that are obviously 6 o'clock. Manchester United against Sheffield United, Newcastle United against Aston Villa, Norwich City against Everton, that is on BBC 1 I think, or BBC 2, not too sure. So yeah, a couple of games obviously at 6 o'clock. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Take care everyone. Bye bye for now. Enjoy your Premier League fixture midweek.